just like up above, where the x was 3 and the y was negative 8. In problem number 3, what you'll notice is that the first equation needs to be rearranged. There's a small problem, because in that first equation, what you notice is that the x is not in its proper spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite that equation down below, and I'm going to call it, if I move the x to the left side, that means I'm subtracting x from both sides, so it becomes negative x, or negative 1x if you like to write that. The y is still there, or positive 1y. And on the right-hand side, I have the negative 4 still there. So now I have my two equations that I'm going to be using for my matrix set. If I write them and set them up, this is what it would look like. I would have the matrix 2, negative 3, and negative 1, and positive 1 that came from the left-hand side of the equation. I then write down my x and y matrix representing those two variables that I'm talking about. And on the left-hand side, I write the numbers that are on the right-hand side of the equations, which are 11 and negative 4. So now what I do is I talk about solving this. Again, that's the A matrix inverse times the B matrix. And here was my A matrix, and here was my B matrix. And so when I do that, what I'm really going to be doing, of course, is typing in these things into my calculator and then solving it. So I'm going to go back to my calculator now. And when I do this, I go into the matrix menu again. I need to go to edit because I want to change the numbers. I hit enter to get into the A matrix. And when I get into the A matrix, I'm going to type in these things for the A matrix. So what you'll notice is that when I type these in, come on in there, I have 2 and negative 3, and I have negative 1 and 1. And this is my A matrix. Then I have to go into my B matrix, just like before, and enter in the new B matrix. So I go into my matrix, information, whoops, wrong button, sorry, matrix. Oh my goodness, second matrix. Go to the edit menu. This time I want matrix B. And in matrix B, I'm going to type in the 11 that I had and the negative 4 that I had. And then I go into the main menu or the home menu, quit out of there, and I go matrix A, inverse, which is the button right below math, and then matrix B, so I arrow down, hit enter twice, and I get the solution set of 1, negative 3. So then I write that down, that my solution set for my x and my y is 1, negative 3, which if I wrote traditionally, of course, would also be written as 1, negative 3 as an ordered pair. So matrices are just a way that if you have a nice technology tool like we have today with these calculators, that you can do that. In the last example on this slide, you'll notice that we have more variables. We have a z variable. Don't let that freak you out. It works exactly the same. No big deal. This time, in my first matrix, my A matrix, it will look like this: 9, 3, 1, because there's a coefficient of 1 in front of the z. I will have a 4, 2, and 1 for the second row, and a 1, 1, and 1 for the third row. These are all the coefficients of each of the variables. So as I look at the first row, this is what I'm seeing on the left-hand side. On the second equation, this is the set of coefficients that I see. And in the third row, these are the three things. Even though you don't see anything in front of the x, y, and z, they are all coefficients of 1, because remember we don't have to write that down. And then of course we have our variable matrix, which this time has x, y, and z. And then on the right-hand side of the equation, I have my numbers on the right-hand side of the equation, which are 5, 7, and 7. And those, again, are coming from the first equation, the second equation, and the third equation. And I still put these in my A matrix and my B matrix, and then do the exact same thing as always. So let's go to the calculator now and do that. If I go into the calculator, what ends up happening is when I go to matrix, I go second, x1, I need to go to edit. I hit enter. Now instead of having a 2 by 2, I have a 3 by 3 matrix. And I just start typing in my numbers. So I have 9, 3, 1 across the first row. I have 4, 2, and 1 across the second row, and 1, 1, and 1 across the third row. Then I go into my B matrix, and I have to be careful there as well, because when I go to edit and I want to edit my B matrix, now it's no longer a 2 by 1 matrix, it's a 3 by 1 matrix. So I put those numbers in when I put in the B matrix, which would be 5, 7, and 7. But the things I type in to solve this thing are exactly the same, so I quit out of there, and I go matrix A, take its inverse, and then matrix B, and hit enter. And now I get 3 numbers as a solution because there were 3 variables, -1, 3, and 5. So I write those down as my solution. So my solution set here is that the, is that the x, y, and the z solution is the set of 3 numbers -1, 3, and 5. Or in other words, x is -1, y is 3, and z is equal to 5. In our second slide here, the only difference is that we have 3 word problems. So the big idea here is you have to kind of know what's going on in order to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do in number 5 is I'm going to talk about what they're talking about. So first of all, what I want you to understand is they talk about 2 main things here. First of all, they talk about adults, and then second of all, they talk about children.